Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Let's see, still morning in a couple places that may be joining us here. Appreciate you joining us. We're going to give everybody just a minute to come in. See our numbers coming up. So I'm in a conference room and the slides are actually projected on a screen over here. I'm going to do my best to not look at that screen and look at you guys in the camera because I also have a view of the slides here. But please forgive me if I show you my left ear. It's, not that great, but I'll do my best to not do that for you. Again, really appreciate everybody spending some time with us today. Our monthly webinar series, as you know, if you've watched over the years, we do our best to kind of project both understanding of GIS and PSAP issues, addressing issues as well. And so this month we decided to do a panel discussion, and we titled that the PSAP Manager Survival Guide. Now, you might not be surprised to find it out, but it's generally going to be focused about the GIS topic in a PSAP setting. But I've asked our panelists, who we'll introduce here in just a second, to feel free to bring up other things that help them survive, right? Be as a PSAP manager. And particularly, as we'll see as they introduce themselves, a PSAP manager from a smaller, more rural PSAP setting. The challenges that they have in particular, and the ways that professional services or community support can help them, do their job and do it as well as possible. So for our agenda today, as I mentioned, a panel discussion. We'll talk a little bit about GIS services after that. I want to introduce our panelists, Nathan Baird from Callaway County, Kentucky, and Ben Guthrie from Liberty County, Florida. I'll ask you guys to just give a little bit of an introduction to the audience. Tell us a little bit about your county, your PSAP, and how you guys are set up for 911 and GIS. Nathan, if we could start with you.
All right, I'm Nathan Baird. I'm with the Callaway County 911 here in Callaway County, Kentucky. If you're curious of where that is, it is in western Kentucky, past Bowling Green. You got to keep going west a little bit further. So my agency runs the county. It's approximately 20,000, 25,000 people in the county. We're one of the larger counties in Kentucky, but we're spread out. That 20,000 spread out pretty good. I run 7 telecommunicators. We try to average 2 on a shift, but that kind of hits and misses quite a bit. We have to do everything ourselves because we are a small agency, and so I wear a whole bunch of hats within my agency, but then my number 2 and some of the other telecommunicators are also, wearing multiple hats other than just doing telecommunications in my center. Ben?
Hey, I'm Ben Guthrie. I'm from Liberty County, Florida. We are located in the panhandle of the state of Florida, which is northern Florida Central. Sometimes we're called Lower Alabama. We are one of the larger counties in our state, but we are the smallest population-wise. We only have about 7,700 residents and cover 853 square miles. We have a 2-position PSAP, just one, and always staffed with one person. If we can, we have 2 staff there between 9 and 9 every day during our busiest period. We are large enough that we have 1 ambulance that covers that whole 853 square miles.
Oh, wow.
So that's Liberty County in a nutshell.
On the beautiful banks of the Apalachicola River, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. That's interesting what you just said about the geographic size of your county. I wasn't actually aware that it was one of the largest. So that's really interesting. And I do like it when I go down into that area of the country and folks say, I'm from LA, lower Alabama. So
Yeah.
yeah, appreciate the intro, guys, and your participation here today. You talked a little bit, Nathan, about wearing multiple hats. I appreciate you doing that. Could you talk a little bit more in detail about kind of what those hats are and how that weighs down sort of your ability to prioritize and execute the most important things in your job?
So I've been doing this for about 22 years. I started out as a telecommunicator and then basically told I was going to start running the place. When I first started running the place, it was just literally 911, and that was the only thing I was dealing with, hiring people, training people, day-to-day operations of the center. Since then, it's kind of evolved. When I first started, it was pencil and paper and a time clock and punching. It was old school type stuff. The mapping system that we had was this big, large book. It was on paper and it was updated about once a year. So with all the roads and everything that were done, and then we had to request it in order to get it, which was a whole nother feat in itself.
Yeah,
Since then, we've added, CAD systems, automatic 911 systems. Um, there are servers back there. There are all kinds of IT stuff, which kind of culminated me into wearing the IT hat here. And then I ended up going into the county, and I'm IT for the county as well for quite a bit of stuff. Have no clue what I'm doing. I just kind of poke around and fix stuff. It just works. Um, but so I've kind of got onto that. And then a few years ago, I started writing grants and I've been pretty successful with grants, which kind of led me to Jeff because I wrote a $250,000 grant for Jeff to help with, doing mapping. So then the mapping side came in. Before starting the mapping side, we were never really thought of, and the mapping, wasn't really thought of for 911. It was just the road department or the county as a whole needed the mapping. So I ended up wearing the 911 hat and the mapping part of the 911 as well. I do all the budgeting as well as making sure people are, scheduled to work and training and everything else that goes with the 911 center.
So you clearly draw your inspiration from Yoda back there.
Yes.
It's bound to be a pretty good source of that. I know that when we came in and modernized your mapping data infrastructure, it was definitely interesting to kind of watch you, as you're doing now, multitask your way through the day, because it wasn't a rare occasion and isn't still, right, that I shoot you a text or we get on a call and you just got done with a midnight shift and you're accommodating me in the morning on little sleep because you had to cover, for your dispatcher, as well as becoming an IT manager, a radio expert, budgeting and finance and all the politics that come with, making sure that you and your folks have everything you need. So I've seen a lot over the years working with you and watching you, muster that Yoda inspiration and get things done. So congratulations on that.
Yeah. So, and you are correct. And I apologize. The phone kept ringing, so I was trying to knock it off on Do Not Disturb. But
that's not a problem. We definitely don't stand in the way of progress.
It would not surprise me if all of a sudden the door behind me opens up and somebody comes in and starts yelling. I will try to mute as quickly as I can because God only knows what it's actually going to say or what it's going to be. So, but yes, I do dispatching as well, and I haven't stopped my dispatching side of it. So there are midnights that I do work, and Jeff, it seems like every time I do work at midnight, Jeff calls me the next morning. So, which is fine, and I don't mind it in the least bit.
Great. Ben, how about you? I know you got a lot of hats too.
Yeah, I wear several hats, but I don't have to dispatch, thank goodness. Our dispatch is actually run by our sheriff's department, and I work for the county. I'm the emergency management director for our county, but I also oversee 911 and mosquito control. It I talked about this morning with somebody. I'm a jack of many trades and I guess master of none, because you say spread out, trying to keep your certifications up for each one, and it sort of impedes on time. It keeps you from being able to do everything you need to do sometimes.
Yeah, so the fascinating one for me, Ben, is that mosquito control, because I think for people that live in other parts of the country, we don't really understand what that's about. Tell us more.
Mosquitoes in Florida, they started, I think, in the 1930s trying to tame the state of Florida, and it has become a necessity. I mean, it is a necessity. The vector control, because of diseases they spread. And with our damp, marshy areas, that's a perfect type of conditions for mosquitoes. And Florida generally stays pretty wet, and certain parts of the state stay pretty warm, so they have to fight mosquitoes year round. For us, it's pretty much April to about the 1st of November, and then we have a few months off to prepare for the next go round.
Yeah, so in that role, and the reason I even bring that up, right, it's kind of weird maybe to ask you to talk a little more detail about that, but the reason I bring that up is in that role during that time frame, you're actually out driving a fogger machine, right, and procuring the chemicals and setting up people to do that. And it actually takes a pretty significant focus to get that done, in addition to your 911 and emergency management duties, right?
Right. I don't actually drive the fogger trucks. We have two drivers that do that. But I do have to maintain a license with the state of Florida, and anytime you're shooting chemical into the air to wipe out any type of an insect, you also have to think about how it might affect your population. And there are people that are sensitive to it. We have a lot of beekeepers, and honey is a big industry where we are. So we have to be mindful of where they have their hives located certain times of the year and try to avoid those areas.
Yeah, fascinating. I've always, felt like there's a clear connection in my mind now after having worked with you between public health, public safety, and emergency management and mosquitoes. I never understood it, but you helped me see that. Any other sort of struggles about wearing multiple hats that you want to talk about?
Well, some of our struggles, we're also the addressing authority for the county, so we issue all the new addresses, and we're continually having to verify addresses for the building department and property appraiser's office and other people who are wanting to make sure that the supervisor of elections also, when someone comes in and registers to vote, they have to verify the address to make sure that what they've been given is correct. So that keeps us busy. Keeping our local map up to date has not been an issue since we issued the addresses, but since Florida has sort of regionalized maps and trying to get us set up for next gen 911, doing that part would probably be impossible for me and for my staff of one, or myself and one other. And that's where you guys came in.
Yep, great. Yeah, so let's talk about our next topic there. What challenges are introduced by not having dedicated GIS support staff? Ben, I think you started right down that path. It has been our privilege to help Liberty County for the last about 5 years, and we've definitely had a journey of kind of evolution of managed services. I don't know if you want to talk about, how we've helped you address the GIS staffing shortage, but that you just mentioned.
Well, as we collect GPS points and issue addresses, we push that out to you guys. And then from there, everything is verified. Proper locations are I don't know, I call it kind of a spaghetti model, or
Yeah.
the pinpoints. You guys will have actual where the house sits on the property, or I'm trying to remember your terminology.
The fishbone. The
The
fishbone.
fishbone, that's right. You guys help get things correct so that if anybody had to come in and assist us after a storm or after anything else, they would have access to the rapid deploy maps that actually are what you guys keep updated for us. You also assist us with the database updates to the Florida Department of Revenue that help with taxing and the taxing authority. It's several services that you guys do that keep us afloat.
Yeah, that's a great demonstration of how address points are super critical for NG 911, which we'll think about in this space, but have so many downstream effects and usage. And you get funding from DOR based on the number of people and structures that are in your county. And it's really important, as any census is, to kind of keep accurate submissions so that you get the most appropriate level of funding that you can. And I think that really dovetails nicely with Nathan as well, is where you've kind of struggled finding GIS support, even though you live in a city that has a university with a GIS program. Tell us a little bit about your experience, Nathan.
So yeah, I'm a Army of One when it comes to the addressing. And when we first started, we did have Murray State, and we tried to use Murray State's GIS program to work with us to get out there and do addressing and do some mapping for us. However, some of the challenges there were insurance related because you couldn't have the kids go out and drive our vehicles because our insurance wouldn't cover them, and then they couldn't drive their vehicles because they were working for us. And so it turned into a big hubbub there. We did manage at one point to get an intern to come over and help, but I don't know GIS, and so my problem with that is the intern would come over, and then we were trying to train her on what needed to happen, which is fine, but it was more of a, hey, here's a map, we want to do this with this map, and then she didn't understand how to do all that stuff. She needed somebody to actually go in that program and teach them how to move stuff and how to make this point this and all that other type of stuff. And so while she was great, it was also something I didn't need, because as soon as she left, then I would have had to done it again with a new person, and then it would have been a constant reteaching, and I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to sit here and work through all their problems of how to do stuff that I needed to do. So that was one of the big things that for me is um going to you guys, was I needed somebody that basically knew the data and how to manipulate the data. And I can just say, my end result, I want this. And that's where your staff came in and said, okay, not a problem. There you go. And worked about 6 months and got everything the way it needed to be. And then we started the continuation service with it. So that helped us be able to say, okay, our end result was this. Now our new end result is this. So you guys, you guys helped me with my anti-alley, my MSAG, sorry, my MSAG, as well as we're required to upload our data to the state every quarter. So you guys upload to the state, and inevitably the state comes back with some kind of change that they made and says, no, that's not correct. We need these changes made. So then you guys make the changes and send it back and forth until they're happy with it, and that you guys take all that out of my ability, because it's way above my abilities. So I don't have to sit there and do that every quarter. It's all taking place and done behind the scenes, and I don't have to worry about it. One of the best things that I like is I do the 911 addressing also, but I go in and I make the addresses and I put the addresses on the map and everything. And then your guys go back in and they say, hey, that's good, or no, you need to do this, or you need to fix this, or this is how this is done. And they kind of teach me as we're going along. so that I have a basic knowledge of what you guys are doing. So when I talk to people, I don't sound stupid, and I can actually talk about it. Which has been great. Modifying road names, because my county likes to change road names quite a bit, or take half of the road out because they don't want to deal with it anymore. So they just remove half a road and then rename roads, and all that type of stuff, which I try to do, and then your guys come back and tell me no, that was wrong, and this is how you do it, which is absolutely fine.
Yeah.
We do the observation points and stuff like that. So if I have a question about something, rather than having to directly talk to somebody, I can just go in and put an observation point in, and then it says whatever it is. Hey, this road name needs to be changed to this. I don't know how to do it. Can you guys do it for me? No problem. They take care of it and roll on. Or, hey, I made this change on this. I don't know whether I was right or not. Can you guys check it, double check this one and make sure it's correct? So those are really cool and stuff like that.
So I hear you saying your part of your theme, one of your themes at least in that discussion, was that GIS capability isn't just a technical skill, but the experience of addressing and understanding that addressing and where things go and how to sort of range roads and stuff like that is something that a university would have a hard time meeting the need of, because they've come through with all the right concepts about GIS. They understand what it is and coordinate systems and all the things that go into it, but not having actual experience doing those things made it harder for you than kind of the benefit of having somebody who could use the software.
Absolutely. If we went in and said, hey, Jeff, I want to hire you, and had you come in and do our mapping for us, what you're doing, you'll be able to do it. You'll be able to tell me I need this program and we're going to do this and that, and kind of set up that program. And then I would take a secondary role of, great, have a problem, call me. You need money, call me. Until then, this is the end result. Having the intern who doesn't have that practical knowledge on how to do all that type of stuff, that's where my problem was. Is this wasn't a job where I could teach her or any of the interns how to do the actual job. I needed them to already know the job in order to teach me the job, basically, is what I needed.
I mean, without getting into the specifics of the cost of it, there certainly is a cost factor where we may cost you a slight bit more than that intern did, but the value makes up for that. And overall, the cost of our services are quite a bit less than if you were to hire a GIS person yourself, even on a part-time basis. So.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, our intern wasn't paid a whole lot, but I mean, it was still cost of the intern. She was part-time, so we didn't have any benefits or anything like that going with her, but it still costed us for that year quite a bit of money. And the other side of it was taking my time out away from other stuff to be able to go in and teach her and sit with her, while she was here to do that type of stuff. So between her salary and what she was making and then my time, it was honestly more cost effective to go through you guys and have you guys do it than it was doing that. And you guys have way more knowledge than I do. So it just made it that much easier for me.
Yeah, and I think I feel like I can make the statement with confidence for both of you that in your years of working with us, I feel like you each have gained knowledge of how to do what we do, as well as you point out, Nathan, so that when you're talking to somebody at the state about GIS as a topic, you're certainly having an intelligent conversation about it, but also about the mechanics of how you're assigning and verifying your address points as well. So, okay, great. Next question for you guys. And again, as I mentioned earlier when we were prepping, feel free to burst the banks of the GIS river and get into whatever topic you think is appropriate here. But what cheat codes have you found for making your life in this multi-hatted, low staffing, rural environment work for you?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, go for it, Ben. Sorry about that.
Well, we've found that in the 911 realm and dealing with public safety, it's probably easier to find folks on that end to help us and guide us along. I've worked with some awesome GIS professionals through the years, and that's some of what's kept me from learning more than I should have, or being able to learn more, because I relied on them. Right now, I rely on you guys because I get spread thin with the other hats I have to wear. Like right now, I'm in beautiful Destin, Florida. Of course, it's 40 degrees outside and the wind's blowing, so you can't really get out and enjoy what's behind us. But that's emergency management, and I have to keep up with training on that end. So having you guys assisting us with the mapping, we have, I don't know if I can name other companies, we have in digital that runs our database and our networking, and another organization, AK and Associates, that helps us with our equipment maintenance, and that takes a huge load off of my shoulders. It's people that we've been doing business with for a while, and I'm very happy and satisfied with the services that they render. It just completely removes stress, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a great example. I think, Nathan, you kind of talked about having to become an IT administrator in a lot of ways. I think that's one thing that PSAPs across the country do avail themselves of and could look into, right, is some specific IT support from vendors that are really knowledgeable on the networking and the hardware and software integrations of 911 stuff, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, my whole goal in running this department is not be an expert on anything. I don't need to be an expert on anything. I can rely on vendors, to be my experts. So when I have a question, I don't need to go and do the research and figure it out. I just need to know who to call to find out. So if it's a GIS question, I call you or one of your cohorts to answer that question, and I come up with some ridiculous questions and ask you if it's possible or not. And you guys have never told me no. You said you'll check into it and maybe not giving me an answer back for a little bit because it's one of those weird questions. But you guys have always come back and said, yeah, we can figure that out. If my recorder is down, I don't need to know everything there is to know about my recorder. I just need to know enough about it that I can say, hey, my recorder ain't working. It was doing this and now it's doing this, and I need it fixed, and know who to call to fix that problem. A lot of that stuff frees me up. Having people that are able to do that free me up to go further and do other things. So I can go on to, do my addressing or work on another project that I have that needs to be done and put my 100% into that project instead of putting 25% here and 10% here and 3% here, and none of it really gets done. That's one of my problems, is that I have so many things going on that I don't feel like I can give 100% to any one thing, because then I'm letting all the other stuff fall backwards. Having you guys be able to do the 911 addressing, and verifying what I'm doing is correct and keeping up with the requirements that are put on to me about the state, this frees me up that I don't have to worry about that. I can just roll on and know you guys have taken care of it, and it's no big deal. The other stuff, writing grants to get something else done, or my dispatcher telling me they need something, I can go look for funding for that. I don't have to, like I said, I have to wear all the hats and make sure it's being done, but I don't necessarily have to put, 100% of my time into that one thing to make sure it is getting done, because I'm just letting something else is slipping. And by the time I figure that out, now it's a bigger mess than what it was.
Yeah, we've been using the sort of metaphor of wearing lots of hats, but I think you tap into another good picture there of, like, you're really spinning plates, right? You got an IT plate and a personnel plate and a budget plate and a mosquito plate and a GIS plate, and I think what you just described there hits it home for me, is like having us there to help you with that GIS plate. We'll keep that spinning. You keep the others spinning. And I think, Ben, you said as well, you've got other vendors that will help you on spinning those other plates too, so you can go focus on, you know, the budget, all the things you mentioned. So
Right.
cool. Well, I don't play that many video games, but I hear cheat codes are pretty awesome in there. So I think that's what we wanted to evoke there. I just wanted to put this list up there briefly as we kind of wrap up the discussion. And again, Ben and Nathan, I really appreciate both your partnership as clients, as well as your time and taking the opportunity to communicate with the audience about kind of keeping these plates spinning, about wearing your multiple hats and keeping things running. I do want to just kind of go through this list real quick and briefly. You both talked about how you send us updates. Nathan, you talked about doing it through our software VEP. Ben sends us usually a collection of like addressing letters. So there's lots of different ways that we support different clients with different sort of processes and needs as it relates to how they get the data, the information to us that we can turn into GIS data. That's a subtle shift, right? Information versus data for some folks. But you send us information, we turn it into GIS data. We'll validate the quality of that data, resolve anomalies. We're especially capable as it relates to helping that GIS data synchronize with your legacy 911 databases in Saginaw Alley. I mentioned you, Nathan, you mentioned us uploading to your statewide portal. Lots of folks have lots of variations on different portals and collection points to upload to. Nathan, in particular, we help you with your CAD maps as well on a quarterly basis, if I recall. Help you get those updated. And then, you know, Ben, we support you not with a CAD, but with a tactical map, the Rapid Deploy Radius map with web services, web hosted services. So we do a lot of things with you guys. Again, really appreciate the opportunity to do those for you and to be your GIS support. And as we kind of wrap up, I'll just show the QR codes for our next couple of webinars coming up about addressing NGCS and AI. The big buzzword, right? We want to talk about what is AI, help you as an audience have a primer. What do I need to actually be concerned about AI? Because everybody's talking about AI, but I don't really understand what a large language model is or natural language processing. Why do I care? Why do I need to know? Do I need to know about those particular things? And then especially we're going to focus in on geospatial aspects of AI and opportunities to glean some benefits from them. But as we kind of wrap up thinking about those future webinars, Nathan, Ben, any last comments you'd like to make? And Steph, I don't know if we have any questions out there or comments we need to address in the chat.
I saw Scott put up a reminder about reaching out to our regional contacts, and that is so true. I worked with Scott several years ago, and he was an awesome GIS professional and knew his stuff, and he was of great assistance to us in Gulf County when I worked there on the coast. But he, I know, made a point there. Quite often we do need to reach out to those around us, so we can find folks and that can help direct us when we need some direction or help guide us in finding the information that we need to be able to accomplish what we have to do in public safety.
Yeah, I recently heard somebody say that we are not ourselves by ourselves, but we are ourselves with everyone around us. And really what they were saying with that is like, we like to have this individual mentality, like I'm successful, I do this or that, but we don't do anything in life without everybody around us in one way or the other. And that's a great point that extends even to GIS efforts and 911 and the public and citizens that we serve and do our best to kind of make quick responses for in difficult situations. So that's a really great point.
Yeah, and I was reading some of the comments also that were in the chat. Scott Warner commented on using regional and coworkers in other counties and stuff like that. One of my cheat codes that I use is I use my telecommunicators. If I find out that they have, a niche in something or they like something, I try to involve them in, whatever they like to do. One girl, she's new, but she absolutely loves Facebook and posting things on Facebook. She can make up these diagrams and things, and I don't know. Okay, you post on Facebook. That takes one thing off of my plate that I
Good
got to
with
worry
social
about,
media.
or it takes that one thing to make it better because she is actually going in and taking that, and doing it. And since then, our Facebook has grown. If another one likes to do, like one of my girls likes to do training, great. What do you want to do? Find some training. We'll go training. You know, here's some leadership training. Here's some GIS training. Whatever it is, I don't care. But she goes in and she finds the training and tells me next year I need 100,000 instead of 10,000 to do more training. She does stuff like that, which is absolutely great. But using the people inside your center is one of the biggest things that I have found makes my life so much easier. Not only does it give them buy-in, but it's also keeping them like it's something that they have it's theirs, and they're actually contributing to the 911 center, which is absolutely great. And my group of people, everybody has a little job that they do, and they all like it. They actually get mad when I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this away from you. I'm going to give it to somebody else because they don't have a job, and they get mad about that, which is absolutely great. But that is one of the big strengths that we have here is using the telecommunicators to help with the projects that we are doing.
Yeah, I've met a lot of really capable GIS folks who, in their initial foray into GIS, was that they were a dispatcher, dispatch supervisor, dispatch supervisor, who was really good with Excel spreadsheets. Right, they had that left brain organizational skills, really good with spreadsheets. And somebody said, "Hey, you know what you could do with that? GIS," and they struggled through and learned and have become quite capable professionals because somebody did exactly what you just described, which was kind of give them an opportunity to have a passion project that was adjacent to and relevant to their day job, but additional learning opportunities there.
Absolutely. And having, I may not know everything about it, but having you guys there, I have one of the girls that was interested in doing 911 or GIS. She actually came up and said, we have tobacco barns. If nobody knows what tobacco barns is, go look at them. They're not burning, they're just smoking. But we have tobacco barns here, and she wanted to go out because the firemen, we didn't know where all the tobacco barns were. She's like, I'd like to go address all the tobacco barns. All right, come into GIS. She now goes to our meetings. She's trying to learn, what we do. She helps me with addressing. Like she is now getting involved in the GIS window of this. So, if I'm not able to do it or if I'm gone, if there's something else going on, she's there. She can take it over. She can handle the meeting, and go forward with it, which takes a lot off of my plate. Then I can, if she gets to a point where she just like, I'll take it over, you don't have to worry about it anymore. See you later. It's yours. Call me when you need something. I'm going to go do this other project.
Yeah.
Because that is one of my big things is having to do projects. I'm always trying to advance the center, always trying to find new things for the center, updates, different things like that. So if it frees me up to do that, have fun. It's all yours. Call me when you need some help.
That's great, and she's definitely made a lot of contributions towards our efforts to support you easier, right? And that's a great example as well. Ben, any parting thoughts for us?
None right off the top of my head.
All right, great. Well, we'll let you get back to your emergency management education. Ben, really appreciate you joining us. Nathan as well. Thank you so much. And we look forward to helping you guys well into the future. And thanks for your time today. And to the audience, take a scan of those QR codes, register for the upcoming webinars. Really appreciate you spending some time with us today as well. And as always, we'll have the recording of this webinar available on our YouTube channel, where we've got lots of great resources for education for us to use for you guys to use into the future. So thanks again, and everybody have a great day. I'll talk to you next month.